We are officially at the quarter way through the semester mark. We are in week 4. I cannot believe how fast the last 3 weeks have flown by. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to review your upcoming lesson, lesson 4, the self and its influence on communication. If you look at the course calendar here, you will have a week to complete these assignments. You'll read Chapter 2, view the Chapter 2 PowerPoint, complete a self-fulfilling prophecy assignment, complete a self-esteem assignment, and then complete the Chapter 2 quiz. There will be no discussion for this week. You'll just be focusing on completing these particular assignments. So all of the assignments and activities within this lesson will be due no later than 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, February 18th. So let's take a couple of minutes and review some of the aspects of the lesson. In lesson 4, you are going to be asked to really analyze and reflect on yourself and how yourself affects the way you communicate and the way you receive messages from others. This lesson might be challenging for some of you because some of you might not like to think about yourselves or talk about yourselves. So I ask that when you're completing these assignments that you do so with a level of comfortability. So disclose to the level you feel comfortable disclosing and that you think that I'll feel comfortable reading. Please understand that the only person that will be looking at your completed information for this lesson will be me, and it will strictly be to assess you on the competencies that we are working with, which is to evaluate how perception affects communication and evaluate how self-concept impacts communication. So once you've read the chapter and viewed the Chapter 2 PowerPoint, you'll click on the gray box on the assignment Self-Fulfilling Prophecy. And once we pull that up, you're asked on a separate Word document, so separate from this assignment, create a new document and list 5 goals that you've had since childhood. Under each goal, you'll list the person or event that shaped your attitude and perception. You'll assign one of the following responses to each category: encourage, discourage, or other. If it is other, please explain. Then you're going to explain how the messages you received influenced your goals and outcomes of them. Lastly, you're going to answer 3 questions in complete sentence format. And when you're answering a question in complete sentence format, let me just give you an example of that. You're going to take the question that's being asked and you're going to restate it in the form of a statement for your response. So if the question is, how does our self-concept influence our behavior? You are going to simply restate that in statement format along the lines of this. Okay, and then you'll just respond to that question with your statement, prefacing the question ahead of time to making it a complete statement. So I might say something along the lines, our self-concept influences our behavior in the following ways. It can affect the way we receive feedback on things that we are doing, such as school. And right there, that's a complete sentence format. And that's essentially all that I'm asking you to do when I ask you to write responses in complete sentence format. So again, you're going to complete this assignment on a fresh new Word document. Please avoid using this particular guideline as a template for you. You want to create your own. And then I provided you with an example. So if one of my goals was to go to college, I had my mother that encouraged me, and I had my father that discouraged me. I also had an older sister that encouraged me to do that. And then answering number 4 up here, explain the messages you received and how they influenced the outcome. I simply just said my mother and sister did their best to provide me with encouraging statements to keep me motivated to go to college. My father told me I shouldn't be surprised if I don't make it because us grandes aren't that book smart. All the messages I received from my mother and father and older sister were a driver for me when I started college. My mother and sister's messages motivated me when I was feeling discouraged. My father's statement drove me to prove him wrong. So I felt comfortable enough to disclose that information, and that's all I'm asking is you provide me with an example, provide me with the people or events that either encouraged or discouraged you, and then messages that you received that influenced the outcome. So that is your self-fulfilling prophecy assignment. Let's go back to the next one. Once you've completed that assignment, you'll save it to your USB or to your desktop and then submit to the Dropbox titled Self-Fulfilling Prophecy. Again, this assignment's worth 17 points and it's due by Sunday, February 18th. Next, you're going to be completing a self-esteem exploration of interpretation of messages that you've received. You can go ahead and use this document to answer your questions. You don't need something fresh and new. You can just use this as a worksheet. But there are 3 sections to this assignment, so read each section carefully. You are going to be asked in the first section to list 4 negative messages you remember hearing, whether that be recent or while you were growing up. And then explore ways to recreate the message to sound less negative. So for example, if I use the example of, let's see, one negative message might be, why do you say things like that? In this next portion, I ask that you take the message that you heard that you saw as negative, or felt was negative, or perceived that it was negative, and then recreate it to have a more positive intention. So if I take this, why do you say things like that? I might rephrase it as, oh, I didn't think of it that way. You have a creative way of looking at things. Okay? And then lastly, respond to the following questions in complete sentence format. And this all relates to our self-concept and how we see ourselves, which thus affects the way that we communicate. So, I might respond like this. How often do you think the messages we receive are truly intended to be negative? To rephrase this in a complete sentence format, I would say messages we receive aren't always intended to be let's try that again. Messages we receive aren't always intended to be negative. Okay? And so that's how you'll respond in a complete sentence format. And again, you can do it right on this worksheet. Save this worksheet to a USB drive or to your computer. And then you are going to upload it to the Self-Esteem and Exploration of Interpretation Dropbox. To complete this lesson, I ask that you complete the Chapter 2 quiz. It's 10 questions. 10 questions are multiple choice. 10 questions are true and false. You are allowed to take it multiple times up until the due date or until you reach a 100, whatever comes first. And if you take this quiz multiple times, E360 will record your most recent attempt. So if that's your best attempt, you don't need to email me or call me to let me know. But if you want something other than that attempt that was better, then you're going to want to email or call me. Once you've done that, that's it for the lessons. I have some final reminders, and then congratulations, you've completed the lesson. As you work through these activities, please don't hesitate to email, call, or stop by with any questions that you have. I'm here to help any way that I can. Thank you.